Top of the morning to you, and welcome to Sculpture Studios. We'd like to thank you for joining us for one of our...
Get out of it!
He was only trying to help the...
Get out of it, go on.
Welcome to Sculpture Studios. We'd like to thank you for joining us for one of our classic larger-than-life instalments, where in this project we're creating two giant 5-metre clothes pegs. This is for an Irish betting company, hence the shamrocks at the beginning, the little guy trying to take my spot just then, and the music you can hear creeping in at the back. These pegs were designed to hold a giant pair of underpants, or lucky pants, to a giant clothesline at a racecourse. Who comes up with these ideas? We haven't a clue, but this was a nice big project for us to get stuck into. We start off by being sent the concept images from the client, and we begin by blocking out with large billets of polystyrene. Now, I'm presuming the majority of people know what a clothes peg looks like, but it's important for us to be able to look at the peg from a constructional point of view and all the different elements that make it up. Our usual polystyrene blocks are only 8 foot long, and 5 metres is around 16.5 feet, so we need to make each half of the peg in sections and then piece it all together. Here we've been using our hot wires and hot wire tables to cut all the sections, and we're laying everything out on the floor before adhering the pieces together. We're using a polyurethane or PU expanding foam, and we're pinning the poly blocks together to give the foam time to set. There isn't going to be a lot of carving for this project, as the shapes are all fairly oblongish anyway, but even though these are going to be seen from a considerable distance, we want to make sure that everything's accurate and all the details of the pegs are included in the job. Starting work on the metal component now, the spring here, and whatever we create, it needs to be identical on either side. We're blocking out from polystyrene, and once we've got all the dimensions correct and the lines cut, Aden's going to work on the carving.
Just working on the metal spring part, and it's coming from the latch around the woodwork, and we're spiralling right down into the centre. I'm carving it now, so when we pull it apart, then we can fiberglass the whole thing and then put it back together, but the whole coil has to work as one, and that's really tricky visual. And if you'd like to come around this side as well, I'm trying to, although you're never going to see this, I'm doing the top of the spring as well. But it's more for our benefit than anybody else's, because it's going to be about 20 metres in the sky, in the air. But I know it's going to work, and I know it works on both sides. So it's just something I like to do for the client, really.
So that the pegs are suitable for outdoor use, and that they're strong enough to carry their own weight once the scaffold bars are installed for the washing line cable to run through, we're going to be giving these a blanket coat of glass fibre. This means the usual sticky back tin foil needs to go on first to protect the polystyrene from the resin. So that the pegs don't move around too much when they're on the washing line, we're adding more glass fibre to the bottom half of each peg, and essentially adding weight and making them bottom heavy, so that gravity naturally plays its part and keeps them upright. As an extra precaution, we're laminating in some eyelets and some metalwork at the bottom of each peg, so the position can be fixed and it can be anchored down to the floor way below. just received revised measurements from the client saying where he'd like the scaffold bar to go through, and so the pegs are at an angle. The scaffold bar's got to go through at an angle, and they've given us the angle of 22.5 degrees. So if Kevin just grabs our big protractor, we can measure the angle correctly. No, Kev, the big protractor.
Oh!
That's the one. Now that the majority of the fiberglassing is done, and we feel we've accomplished as much as we can by keeping the pegs in two sections, it's time to join both halves together. Between the two pieces, we're going to be keeping the seam line down the long straight, but with the coiled spring, we need to make the join line invisible so it looks as though it's all one piece of metal. When everything's laminated together, we go over with sanders and get rid of any major bumps or imperfections in the glass to create a smoother base layer for the final touches. For this job, we're not looking for a car body finish as it's going to be far away, but we want to lose that fibrous matte texture from the glass, so we're going to be going over with a flow coat. This is a resin coat that doubles up as a much more fluid surface finish, as well as colouring the peg to the yellow that the clients requested by adding a pigment to it, and this also saves on painting later on.
Resting on these 2 points here, and both pegs weigh exactly the same. 168.5.
With all the construction work currently going on site at the other end, we've actually had another request from the client asking is there any way we can make these lighter. So what we're doing is we're removing the top layer of glass on either side of the pegs, and we're extracting the large bulks of polystyrene from the inside. So that these stay rigid, we're replacing the polystyrene blocks with battens, and this will help the pegs retain the correct shape. Little bit of extra work for us, but there are always moments in jobs where things need to be amended or plans are changed, so nowadays we never fail to expect the unexpected. When we finished our little bit of surgery, the top sections of fiberglass are replaced back on top, and the seam lines around the edges are made good again. Look, it looks so good they even had someone sent down to take some pictures. Now, unfortunately, we don't actually have any images of the pegs installed on site. I know, we wanted to see them there as well. So you're just going to have to make do with our fantastic exhibition skills here at Sculpture Studios. So there we have it, 2 giant pegs at 5 meters tall. Please feel free to leave any comments below, as they're always appreciated, and hit the subscribe button for our latest videos. You can like Sculpture Studios on Facebook.
And don't forget you can follow
you can follow at Aden Hynes on Twitter. And for more of our work, visit sculpturestudios.co.uk.
Thank you very much for watching.